At the beginning of the film, we observe the main character under interrogation. Vincent's version seems too unbelievable to the policeman, and he angrily asks them to talk to the other guys as well. The man is asked not to be nervous and to go back to the events of that morning. The young guy walks along the street and enters a well-appointed flat. From shock, Luke drops the bags of drinks, for on the bed lies a dead girl who was treated rather cruelly. Vincent was asleep when the phone rings at 9 in the morning. Vincent is contacted by Luke and is very panicky and asks his friend to come to the loft. Vincent arrives and sees a scary picture. Luke tells him that he has already called the rest of his friends and they will be here soon. The guy also reports that the doors and windows show no signs of forced entry. Only the friends had access to the flat, which means that the terrible act was committed by one of them. The action is transferred to the present day, where Luke himself is being questioned. The police already know that the friends brought mistresses to the loft to avoid hiding hotel bills and arouse suspicion. Luke reveals that he doesn't have any connections on the side. In the morning, the guy had breakfast with his friend Chris, who also has access to the loft. In fact, Chris arrived at the loft shortly after Vincent. Seeing the girl on the bed, the guy says that Philip could have done it. Chris thinks that the police should be called, but Vincent suggests that they should hold off on that. At the loft, Marty soon appears. Vincent looks around at the three guys and asks if none of them are involved. He proposes that they find out first and then decide what to do. The action shifts to a year ago. 4 friends attend Vincent's event to celebrate the opening of his building with their wives. Chris comes with Allison, who likes to say bad things behind their backs, Marty with the fun-loving jokester Mimi, and Luke with the fragile and sickly Ellie. Like Vincent's wife Barbara, all of them are not particularly beautiful. A spectacular blonde approaches Chris. Anne is talking to a man, which Allison is observing unhappily. Suddenly, Philip drops his glasses spectacularly, appearing with 2 gorgeous twins. Vincent takes his friends and shows them the loft, a place where they can take a break from their wives, drink, and meet their mistresses. In the present time, Luke starts to panic and wants to leave. Philip can't be reached. Marty examines a pillow and finds a strange writing underneath it. When questioned, Chris is forced to translate it, and it means, "Fate determines us." The man also points out that there is a rather primitive mistake in the inscription. Chris is asked about his brother Philip. It turns out they had one mother. After she left, the boys and their sister ended up in an orphanage. Philip's father was a bad man. The action returns to the morning. After finding the inscription, Marty also discovers the knife. At this moment, Philip appears in the flat. Luke pounces on the guy, believing that he is the one who took the girl's life. Philip swears that he was at his wife's and her parents' house the night before and suggests that the guys check it out. In response, the man accuses Vincent, as he can't prove that he was at home because of his wife's departure. The action moves to the day of Philip's wedding. There, Chris again notices a pretty blonde girl. Right during the wedding, Vincent hands out the keys to the loft to his friends. There is a little conflict. Marty notices the groom's sister and makes flattering but ambiguous comments about her. Philip behaves rather aggressively, defending Zoe's honor. Chris talks to the pretty blonde again. Despite his initial desire not to cheat on his wife, the guy takes the keys to the loft from Vincent. The action returns to the present. Vincent asks everyone to show their keys, and Chris admits that he didn't take his. Back in the past, over dinner at the guy's place, Marty gets very drunk. The man first taunts Allison and then nearly gives away the secret of the loft. Afterwards, Ellie talks to Luke and asks if he has any secrets. The guy swears that he loves her and won't leave her. In the present time, Vincent asks if someone might have blabbed about the loft. Chris frowns slightly and recalls how he spent hours in bed with his mistress and felt himself falling in love with her. However, Anne doesn't like this talk. She tries to suppress Chris's feelings and says that she usually spends time with men for money. After that, the girl leaves. Marty is questioned next. It turns out that Mimi is going to divorce him. Marty reveals that one of the girls he slept with showed up at his house and told his wife everything. The man also mentions that he met his mistress in San Diego, where Vincent took him. The action shifts to that trip. Vincent teases Luke, asking what he does in the loft if he is not cheating on his wife. Soon, Vincent is chatting to a rather plump girl and whispers to Marty that they often have very pretty girlfriends. Soon, Vincent spots Anne in a bar with another rich man. Chris tries to call the girl at this moment, but he is seen by his wife, who finds such late calls strange. Allison quarrels with her boyfriend, suspecting him of cheating. Meanwhile, Vincent's expectations are fulfilled, as the charming Sarah approaches the full-figured girl. The model shamelessly flirts with Vincent, and then swims with him in the pool without clothes. Marty, meanwhile, is alone with Sarah's full friend. Luke observes the swimming man with strange interest, but then realizes he should leave already. Vincent sees Sarah afterwards as well. The girl even confesses her love to the man, but he rejects her. In the present time, Luke notices his friend's strange behavior and realizes that he was in the loft during the night. Vincent is about to tell his mate something, but then the intercom sounds. It turns out that it's the realtor who has an appointment to sell the loft, Sarah. When Vincent hears this, he drops his hands and sits down on the bed. He says that Sarah is the one who is in bed right now. Vincent tells her that he broke off his relationship with the girl that night, but she was alive when he left. Another question remains open: who is trying to sell the loft and why? After these words, Chris plunges into his memories. After Anne didn't answer him, the guy decided by all means to find her. The girl notices the stalking and decides to talk to Chris. Anne reminds him that what they had between them was a simple pleasure and nothing more. To convince the girl in sincerity and with good intentions, Chris gives up the key because he doesn't need it without Anne. That is why, at the moment of the conversation, the guy doesn't have them. In the next flashback, it is revealed that it was Vincent who supported Marty when his wife decided to leave him. The action returns to the present, where Vincent offers to unbuckle Sarah and take her away. Philip is furious at this attitude and reminds him that there are no keys. Vincent parries and reminds him that handcuffs are definitely not his thing. It turns out that shortly before, Philip had overdosed on substances and abused a girl he had brought into the loft. He had also chained her to the bed. Luke, meanwhile, is questioned about whether he feels attracted to Vincent. This kind of question about Vincent really makes the guy angry. Soon, Luke tells his mates that he has something to confess. It turns out that the guy installed cameras in the loft without anyone's knowledge. Luke didn't switch them on every day. He only switched them on when Vincent came round. The guy gets very close to Vincent and tells him that he knows what he's up to, but that he won't tell anyone because they're friends. Luke also suggests that the wronged and cheated may be involved in the strange happenings. Vincent realizes that it is about wives. One charity event immediately comes to the man's mind. For each of the five, it was a horrible experience. Marty is ridiculed by his wife, who bluntly hints that she will avenge the affair. Chris gets a message from his mistress and wants to talk to her. Unintentionally, the guy finds out that Anne was paid for their first meeting. Vincent suffers a small collapse in the professional field and makes enemies. Philippe quarrels with his wife and worries about his sister, who at 20 behaves provocatively and dresses in a way that attracts the attention of many men, even Vincent. Philip loses his temper and attacks one of his sister's suitors and behaves quite violently and almost inadequately. Because of this incident, the man loses his lucrative marriage. Philip's sister finds comfort on Vincent's shoulder. This is noticed by Sarah, who also came to the celebration. The girl is determined and wants to talk to Vincent's wife to help him make a choice. However, Luke confronts the girl and asks her not to do it, so that she won't regret it later. Sarah heeds the advice and decides to keep quiet about her affair with Vincent. In the present time, Vincent realizes that everything was set up by their wives and suddenly feels bad. It turns out that the man was actually betrayed and framed by his own friends. It turns out that Luke and the other guys found Sarah earlier. However, Luke says that he didn't call Vincent for one important reason. The guy shows the guys some notes. It turns out that Vincent slept with Marty's wife instead of talking to her and convincing her not to divorce her husband. Philip learns that Vincent seduced his younger sister and took her to bed, even though he knew how much it hurt his jealous friend. Besides, Vincent has been seeing the girl regularly. Chris learns even more shocking news. Vincent had been using Anne's services for a long time. He paid her to seduce his friend. This was exactly how Chris could be persuaded to join the Loft. The friends are shocked by Vincent's behavior, and they decide to get revenge on him. Chris asks them to take their time, because first they have to find out if Vincent is really involved in what happened to the girl. Philip suggests that the others leave to work on their alibis. The action shifts to the present day. The friends chain Vincent to the bed so that the police can find him. At the police station, the man learns that the Loft only has his prints. In addition, all of Vincent's friends have alibis. At the police station, Chris learns that they haven't found Sarah's note. In the Loft, the guy arranges an interrogation with Luke. After all, it was he who stole the note. The man admits that he himself was in love with Sarah. On the night of her quarrel with Vincent, Luke planted sleeping pills on the girl and then wrote the note on her behalf. The guy threatens Chris with death so that he doesn't give away his secret. When Luke realizes that the police have arrived, he throws himself down from the balcony. 6 months later, Vincent lives in a loft, and Chris meets Anne again, who has quit her job. This is the end of the film. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this film, and see you in new videos.